Okay, this is the book that just came out. It's a very personal memoir, and I wrote those stories during several years. And now, recently, a few months ago, I found this quote by Socrates. Before his death, Socrates is quoted to have said that an unexamined life is not worth living. From the top of the mountain that she has climbed, Alba, which is the author, it's a borrowed name, Alba examines the stations of the ascent that left a mark on her soul. Always a dreamer, her most beautiful dream to this day is to share it with open minds and loving hearts. This is the back cover of the book. Thank you. Would you like me to read the last story? This is the last chapter, and it's called Coldly Wise. When I started writing this book, I used to enjoy reciting to myself Robert Frost's poem. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep. I don't know how many miles are left before I sleep. At my age, many, if not most people, live in the past. One of my memories takes me back to the fall of 1958, when still traumatized by my shaming and exclusion from the Communist Youth League, I told my parents, we must leave, we must make Aliyah. I reminded Mother that my biological father had been a Zionist. He was killed in the Holocaust. She recalled hearing him sing about the blue-white flag. In January 1959, my parents and my two brothers left the city of our birth. The rumor had spread that a Romanian currency was valuable in Vienna, our first stop on the way to Israel. It was illegal to export money, but we crossed the border with a few bills of lei, that's the Romanian currency, soon in the lining of Father's winter coat. In attendance to the train that was to take us to Naples, we stayed at a hotel in Austria's capital. A pianist from our group obtained tickets to the Vienna State Opera. She had gotten hold of cheap tickets to Beethoven's Fidelio. We sat just below the building's magnificently crafted roof, and I felt close to heaven. With the bills sewn in the lining of his coat, Father bought a radio. It was the only means of communication with the outside world in communist Romania, an item Father could not live without. The purchase of that radio became one of the long-standing humorous stories told and retold in our family. I remember Father's shiny, self-satisfied face as he recounted his visit to the radio shop. Father, in Yiddish, because he didn't speak German. Good morning, I want to buy a radio. Sales lady. Good morning, sir. Which brand do you prefer? Father, all confused. Radio. Sales lady. I understand, but there are all kinds. In Viennese dialect, aber es gibt verschiedene, with a lot of weight on the I, verschiedene. My father couldn't forget that dialogue, and every time he repeated it to us, trying hard to imitate the woman's Viennese accent, Mother and my brothers held our bellies with shrill laughter. On that memorable day, unperturbed by our making fun of him, He unpacked a shining new Blaupunkt radio. The cause of the confusion became obvious when we realized that in Romania there had been no selection of brands, neither of radios nor of anything else. We learned later that ours was a model which marked the transition between the diode and the transistor systems. We were all happy with the handsome brown wooden box in which it was encased, and it served the family faithfully for a very long time. Until one day, many years later, when I decided to offer it up for sale. "Does it still work?" asked the potential buyer, the owner of an antique shop. "To be honest, I haven't turned it on," I replied. "It's been lying in the storage ever since I moved here." "Do you have an electric socket in the storage room?" I knew that there was a socket, but I had no idea whether the radio still functioned. The man followed me to the storage room. We extracted the radio from its cardboard container and inserted the cord. I held my breath for a moment, and suddenly both the light and the sound went on. A joyous shout escaped from my chest. My deceased father's beloved radio was still alive after 60 years. Many, many years ago, I started to write and to use Robert Frost's words while walking in the forest. I am fulfilling a promise before I sleep. Erika's father, Erika, my daughter's father, is not alive. My Russian husband still is, but often lives in the throes of dementia. My children are as different as their fathers were. A deep regret is not having been with them emotionally when they needed it most. It's from my son that I learned the expression quality time. My daughter continues to teach me how to be original and non-conformist, and I am grateful to both. In the preface to this book, I quoted Sarah Teasdale. "When I look life in the eyes, grown calm and very coldly wise, life will have given me the truth and taken in exchange my youth."
Beautiful. Could you show the pictures? You've got beautiful pictures in the book.
Yes, so the upper picture is me when I was director of the biochemistry lab in Rambam Hospital. The middle picture is my biological father, Meyer Eisenkraft, who was killed in the Holocaust. And this is my mother with her two little children, my widowed mother, after the war, a couple of years after the war, with her two children. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And really a big issue.
This is your